October 13th, 1972. The Andes Mountains, the roof of South America. At 3,600 meters above sea level, higher than any city in North America, a broken airplane fuselage lies half buried in snow. Inside, 29 people are still alive, but they won't be for long. The temperature outside is 30 degrees below zero. At night, it drops to 40 below. They have no heat, no shelter except the torn metal shell of the plane, no food, no medicine, no way to call for help. Most of them are teenagers, boys between 18 and 22 years old. They are rugby players from Uruguay. Their bodies are strong, but strength means nothing against the mountains. Outside, the wind screams across the glacier. Inside, they huddle together. They share body heat. They take turns staying awake, making sure no one freezes to death in their sleep. They have one transistor radio. On the 10th day, they hear the news they've been dreading. The search has been called off. The governments of Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile have declared them dead. They are alone, completely alone, surrounded by 500 miles of the most dangerous mountains on Earth. This is not a story about a plane crash. Plane crashes happen every day. This is a story about what happens after the crash. When the world gives up on you. When death becomes normal. When you have to make choices that no human being should ever have to make. This is the true story of the miracle of the Andes. How do you survive when everything is against you? The Andes don't give back what they take, that's what the locals say. The mountains are hungry, they keep what they kill. These boys had no climbing experience, no survival training, no proper clothing, no equipment. They had nothing except each other and a will to live that refused to die. Some would call what they did a miracle. Others would call it horror. But for 72 days, 16 of them held on. And when they finally walked out of those mountains, they carried something with them that most people never find. The answer to the question, what are you really made of? To understand how they got there, we have to go back to the morning of October 12, 1972. Back to Montevideo, Uruguay. Back to a group of young men who just wanted to play rugby. The Old Christians Club, a private rugby team from Montevideo, Uruguay. They are amateurs, students and young professionals who play for the love of the game. In October 1972, they have a match scheduled in Santiago, Chile. An exhibition game against the Old Boys Club. It's supposed to be a fun trip, a chance to travel, to compete, to bond as a team. The team's president, Daniel Juan, charters a plane. A Fairchild FH-227D, operated by the Uruguayan Air Force, twin turboprops, seats for 45 people. It's not luxurious, but it will get them there. They invite friends and family to join. Parents, siblings, supporters. For many, it's a rare opportunity to see their sons play in another country. They pack their bags. They kiss their wives goodbye. They promise to call when they land. The pilot is Colonel Julio Cesar Ferradas. He has 5,117 hours of flight time. He's crossed the Andes 29 times before. The co-pilot is Lieutenant Colonel Dante Lagurara, who is training to fly this route. Both are experienced. Both are confident. The plane departs from Carrasco International Airport on October 12th, but the weather has other plans. Over the Andes, a massive storm is brewing. The pilots decide to stop in Mendoza, Argentina, to wait it out. They spend the night there. The team jokes about the delay, they play cards, they call home, they're in no hurry. October 13th. The weather hasn't improved much, but by mid-afternoon it seems good enough. At 2:18 p.m., they take off from Mendoza. Destination Santiago. Flight time approximately 90 minutes. On board are 40 passengers and 5 crew members. Among them, 19 rugby players. The team doctor, friends, family. A woman named Graciela Mariani, who bought a ticket at the last minute so she could attend her oldest daughter's wedding. One player isn't there, Gilberto Regules. He was supposed to be on the flight, but he overslept and missed it. His teammates called his house. No answer. They left without him. He will spend the next 2 months in agony waiting for news. The first hour is smooth. They fly south toward the Malargue Pass, then west through the mountains. The pilots follow the standard route, over the Planchon Pass, then toward the Curicó radio beacon in Chile, then north to Santiago. At 3:21 p.m., La Guerrara radios air traffic control. He reports that they are passing over Curicó. He requests permission to descend. Permission granted. But La Guerrara is wrong. He misread his instruments. They are not over Curicó. They are still 60 kilometers east, still deep in the Andes, still surrounded by mountains. The clouds are thick. Visibility is almost zero. They descend through the gray nothing, unaware of what waits below. Then at 3:34 p.m., the clouds part. For just a moment they see it. A mountain, directly ahead. 20 feet away, La Guerrara pulls back on the controls. The engines scream. The plane tilts up, trying to climb, trying to clear the ridge. But it's too late. The tail of the aircraft strikes the mountain first. The impact shears off the tail cone, the vertical stabilizer, the horizontal stabilizer. 3 passengers and 2 crew members are sucked out of the gaping hole, falling into the void below. The right wing hits next. It tears off, spinning away into the white. The left wing follows moments later. The fuselage, now just a hollow metal tube, rockets forward at 350 kilometers per hour, sliding down the mountain slope like a toboggan. Inside, chaos. Bodies thrown everywhere. Luggage flying, screaming, metal tearing, snow and debris blasting through the broken windows. The fuselage slides for 725 meters. Then it hits a mound of ice and snow and stops. Silence. For a moment, no one moves. Then one by one, they open their eyes, they check their limbs, they look around. 95 kilometers off course, 3,600 meters above sea level. Surrounded by nothing but ice, rock, and sky. 29 of them are still alive. The injured are everywhere. Broken bones, deep cuts, internal bleeding. 2 medical students, Roberto Canessa and Gustavo Zerbino, take charge. They are only 19 years old, but they have some training. They do what they can. They rip apart the seats to make splints. They use alcohol from the galley to clean wounds. They drag the most seriously injured away from the opening in the back, where the wind howls and the cold seeps in. The dead are left where they fell. 12 people died on impact. Another 5 will die during the first night, succumbing to their injuries in the freezing cold. The survivors huddle together. They have no blankets, no sleeping bags, no heat. They wear only light clothing, jeans, rugby jerseys, thin jackets. The temperature drops to 30 below. They press against each other, sharing warmth, taking turns to stay awake, making sure no one freezes. In the morning, they see where they are. A vast white valley, mountains rising on all sides. The remains of their plane broken and scattered. And above them, so close it seems you could touch it, the summit of a massive peak. They are in the Valley of the Tears at the foot of the Tinguiririca volcano near the Argentine-Chilean border. For the first week, they believe rescue is coming. They hear planes overhead. They see them, tiny specks in the impossibly blue sky. They wave, they shout, they stomp their feet in the snow, trying to create signals. But the planes don't see them. The white fuselage blends perfectly with the white snow. The wreckage is invisible from the air. Someone finds lipstick in a passenger's luggage. They try to write SOS on the roof of the plane, but the letters are too small. They lay out luggage in the snow to form a cross, but the next snowfall covers it. On the 8th day, they find a small transistor radio in the wreckage. They rig it up, and they listen. The news is devastating. After 8 days of searching, the governments of Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile have suspended their efforts. The official search is over. The world has given up. Roberto Canessa turns to the others. He says, "Hey boys, there's good news. They've called off the search." "Why the hell is that good news?" someone yells back. "Because it means we're going to get out of here on our own." Now they know no one is coming. If they want to live, they have to save themselves, but how? They have no climbing gear, no maps, no compass. They don't even know exactly where they are. The pilots are dead. The flight plan is gone. All they know is that somewhere to the west, over those mountains, is Chile. Somewhere to the east is Argentina. But which way? How far? They take inventory of their supplies. It's grim. A few chocolate bars, some crackers, a bottle of wine, that's it. The days pass. The chocolate is rationed, 1 square per person per day. The wine is saved for special occasions. They melt snow on metal sheets from the seats to get drinking water. But food is the real problem. At this altitude, the human body burns calories just to stay warm. They are slowly starving to death. Their bodies are consuming themselves from the inside. By day 10, they are desperate. They've eaten the leather from their shoes. They've chewed on seat cushions, hoping for some nutritional value. Nothing works. And all around them, preserved in the snow and ice, are the bodies of their dead friends. This is the moment, the one that history will judge, the one that will follow them for the rest of their lives. They gather in the fuselage. They talk, they argue, they pray. Most of them are Catholic, raised to believe that the body is sacred, that cannibalism is an unspeakable sin. But the alternative is death, certain, slow, agonizing death. Roberto Canessa speaks. He is 19 years old, but he thinks like a doctor. He says, "The bodies are our only source of protein. Our friends are dead. They don't need their bodies anymore, but we need them to live." He quotes scripture. "This is my body broken for you." The Eucharist, Holy Communion. If Christ can give his flesh to his followers, can they not take the flesh of the dead to save the living? They make a pact. If any of them die, the others have permission to use their bodies. They sign it. They seal it. It is the most terrible promise any of them will ever make. Then, with shaking hands, they cut the first piece of frozen meat from the body of a pilot. They hold it. They look at it. They think about what they are about to do. And they eat. In the days that follow, they develop a routine. The meat is cut into thin strips and dried in the sun. It becomes jerky, tasteless but edible. It keeps them alive. They learn which parts are most nutritious. Muscle tissue for protein, fat for energy, organs for vitamins. They grind bones into powder and mix it with water to get calcium. Some of them struggle more than others. Some can barely force themselves to eat. Others accept it as necessity. They don't talk about it. They just do what they have to do. Day by day, they grow weaker. Their bodies are wasting away. They have no way to exercise, no way to stay warm except huddling together. The cold seeps into everything. Nando Parrado is one of the strongest. He is 22 years old, a rugby player, an engineering student. When the plane crashed, he was knocked unconscious for 3 days. When he woke up, he learned that his mother was dead. His sister, 19 years old, was dying. She would die in his arms a few days later. Nando has nothing left. His mother and sister are gone. His father is back home thinking he is dead. The only thing that keeps him going is the thought of his father's face. He imagines the old man's grief. He imagines walking through the door and saying, "I'm alive." That image sustains him. It will drive him to do the impossible. October 29th, day 17. They are sleeping in the fuselage when it hits. A massive avalanche, triggered by some shift in the snow above them, roars down the mountain and buries the wreckage completely. In seconds, they are entombed. Snow fills every crack. It packs into the fuselage. It covers their bodies. It blocks their mouths and noses. They can't breathe. They can't move. They can't see. In the absolute darkness, they claw at the snow, trying to dig their way out. Nando Parrado is one of the few who can move. He kicks and punches, fighting against the weight of the snow. He finds a small window in the cockpit. He breaks it with his bare hands. Snow pours out. Air rushes in. One by one, they dig each other out. 8 people didn't make it. They suffocated in the dark. Now there are 19 left. After the avalanche, they know they can't wait any longer. Summer is coming, but it won't last forever. They need to find help, or they will die here. They choose the strongest among them: Nando Parrado, Roberto Canessa, and Antonio Vizintin. They will hike west, toward Chile, until they find civilization or die trying. They spend weeks preparing. They sew together multiple layers of clothing to make crude snowsuits. They use insulation from the plane to make boots. They fashion a sleeping bag from fabric and wool. They pack as much meat as they can carry. Strips of dried human flesh stuffed into rugby socks. It's their only food. On December 12th, exactly 2 months after the crash, they set out. They have no map, no compass, no climbing gear. They have no idea how far it is to Chile. They have no idea if they'll make it, but they go anyway. The mountain in front of them is 4,500 meters high. From the crash site at 3,600 meters, they have to climb 900 vertical meters just to see what's on the other side. They climb for 3 days. The altitude makes every step agony. The air is thin. Their muscles scream. At night, they huddle together in their makeshift sleeping bag, shaking uncontrollably. On the 3rd day, they reach the summit. They look west, and they see more mountains, range after range, stretching to the horizon. No valleys, no forests, no civilization, just ice and rock forever. Antonio Vizintin is too weak to continue. They send him back to the fuselage. Nando and Roberto go on alone. They have no food left. They have no energy. They are walking skeletons held together by willpower alone. Roberto says, "We have been through so much. Now let's go die together." But they don't die. They keep walking. Day 8 of the trek, December 19th. They've been walking for over a week. They've crossed mountains, glaciers, and frozen valleys. They've survived on nothing but scraps and snow. They are so weak they can barely stand. Then they hear it. Water. Running water. They stumble toward the sound and find a river. Not frozen, flowing. It's coming from the mountains, heading west. They follow it. The river leads them downhill. The air gets warmer. The snow starts to thin. For the first time in 2 months, they see dirt, rocks, plants, signs of life. On the afternoon of December 20th, Nando sees something that makes his heart stop. On the other side of the river, there is a man on horseback. The man's name is Sergio Catalan. He is a Chilean shepherd, 45 years old, who herds cattle in these remote valleys. He sees 2 figures on the far bank waving their arms, shouting something he can't hear. The river is too loud. The men are too weak. Catalan can't understand them. Nando is desperate. He finds a rock. He tears a page from his notebook. With shaking hands, he writes, "I come from a plane that fell in the mountains. I am Uruguayan. We have been walking for 10 days. I have 14 friends still on the mountain. We need help. Please. We can't walk anymore." "Where are we?" He wraps the note around the rock and throws it across the river. It bounces on the far bank. Catalan picks it up, reads it, looks at them. He raises his hand. "I understand." Catalan rides off. He rides for hours through the night to reach the nearest town. He finds the police. He shows them the note. They don't believe him at first. 2 men walking out of the Andes after 2 months? Impossible. But the note is real. The men are real. They send help. On December 21st, the first helicopter reaches the crash site. The pilots see the wreckage. They see the survivors waving frantically from below. They land on the glacier, rotors still running. The rescue team can't believe what they're seeing. These people have been here for 70 days. They are skeletal. They are frostbitten. They are alive. 6 survivors are loaded onto the helicopter and flown to safety. The rest will have to wait one more night. The rescue team that stays behind walks through the fuselage. They see the remains. They understand what happened here. Some of them are horrified. Some of them are sick. But they say nothing. They do their job. On December 22nd, the second helicopter arrives. The remaining 14 survivors are airlifted out. They leave behind the wreckage, the bodies, the memories. They fly over the mountains that held them prisoner for so long. Below them, the Valley of the Tears disappears into the clouds. They arrive at hospitals in San Fernando and Santiago. Doctors examine them. They expect to find severe malnutrition, dehydration, frostbite, disease. They find all of that, but they also find something else. Life. 16 men walked out of the Andes. 16 men survived 72 days in the worst conditions on Earth. The news spreads around the world. The miracle of the Andes becomes front-page news. Reporters flock to Chile. They want to interview the survivors. They want to know how they did it. And then the questions start, the hard questions. The ones that will follow them forever. What did you eat? At first they lie. They say they ate cheese, crackers, whatever they could find. But the truth comes out. It always does. A reporter asks a direct question. One of the survivors, tired and confused, answers honestly. The story explodes. The world is horrified. Cannibalism, the ultimate taboo. How could they? But then slowly the reaction shifts. The families of those who died speak. They say, "Those boys ate my son, and I am glad they did. My son's death meant something. He saved their lives." The Catholic Church issues a statement. In extreme circumstances, when survival is at stake, the preservation of human life supersedes all other considerations. They are forgiven. Nando Parrado goes home to Montevideo. His father is waiting at the airport. They embrace. They don't speak. They don't need to. Roberto Canessa goes home. He finishes medical school. He becomes a pediatric cardiologist. He spends his life saving children. The others go home too. They try to resume normal lives. But normal is different now. They have seen things that most people never see. They have done things that most people never do. Every year on December 22nd, they gather. They bring their families. They celebrate their second birthday, the day they were rescued. They hug each other. They cry. They remember. In the years that follow, many of them write books. Nando writes Miracle in the Andes. Roberto writes about his experiences. They give speeches. They talk about what they learned. And what did they learn? Nando puts it this way. Before the crash, I thought I knew what was important. Money, success, what other people thought of me. After the crash, I knew the truth. The only thing that matters is love. Love for my family, love for my friends, love for every breath I take. He says we were given more than just life. We came down from that mountain with a new way of thinking, a deeper understanding of the human spirit. The ability to be truly alive, to enjoy every moment and be grateful for it. That is what the Andes gave us. The crash site is still there. High in the Andes, in the Valley of the Tears, the remains of Flight 571 lie buried under ice and snow. In 1975, a group of survivors and family members returned. They built a small shrine. A metal cross stands guard over the place where their friends died. The bodies are still there too, frozen, preserved, resting in the mountains that took them. Sergio Catalan, the shepherd who saved them, stayed in touch with the survivors for the rest of his life. They visited him. They helped him when he was sick. They attended his funeral in 2020. Nando Parrado still climbs mountains. He still challenges himself. He still pushes the limits of what's possible. But now, when he reaches the summit, he doesn't think about the pain. He thinks about his father. He thinks about his sister. He thinks about all the people who didn't make it. And he says the same thing over and over. I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. 72 days, 16 survivors, one miracle. The Andes never give back what they take. But sometimes, just sometimes, they make an exception. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us preserve these histories. Tell us in the comments. Could you have done what they did?